first thing, we gotta discuss this first. The very first thing is from Hasbro, plastic-free packaging. They released this little write-up, and I'll just read it out loud. Our goal does not include packaging for fan collectible products like 3 3/4 inch action figures, where packaging is part of the product experience and typically retained intact for fan display and collections. Those lines include Star Wars Vintage and Retro, as well as other collectible brands such as Marvel Retro and the G.I. Joe Retro. In support of Hasbro's lower carbon strategy and upcoming science-based targets, our fan collectible blister packaging will continue to be made with either plant-based or recycled PET content. So TVC is saved. Rejoice.
I didn't think they were going to take the bubble away from TVC for a second.
Yeah.
I want to say that the Marvel guys said like a few weeks ago that the retro line would be unaffected. So I had a feeling then that if they weren't going to affect the retro line, then exactly what this message confirms, everything that has a retro style package or a blister card package is going to remain with the bubble. So, but the confirmation is nice though, because I know there were so many people out there that were concerned about this, which, I mean, yeah, it's definitely something to be concerned about, because I do think that it obviously would have killed each and every one of these retro lines had they gone plastic free on them.
Yeah, but that's great for even things like the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi and like the nostalgic packaging that Black Series does and that Marvel Legends do. So we more than likely will see the 40th anniversary stuff on card with a plastic bubble. And yeah, I'm happy for every TVC fan, because this would have affected TVC the most, I feel like. So that's great for TVC. That's just a minor little thing. And then we got our first look at some renders that Hasbro revealed for what the Black Series would end up looking like. And I want to get your guys' thoughts. And by the way, we all knew this was coming, so you're not, like, if you're here for Outrage, you're not going to see Outrage. And you never will see Outrage out of the basement. We all knew this was coming, especially when they were revealing figures without the box. And like, they didn't have any of the in-package shots for, like, Tala, or the Jabeam Obi-Wan. It's like, oh, okay, we know.
And the droid.
Yeah, so this is... a render, by the way. This is not what the final product will look like. We do have an example of that with Ned B, though, right here. Luckily, Landspeeder Luke.
Shout out to Landspeeder Luke for the picture.
Luke. So we can see it's actually kind of nice with the They're taking some out of the basement thumbnail notes.
True.
With the galaxy in the background.
Yeah. Right out of the gate, I think that these look probably at least 100 times better than the Marvel Legends packaging. I like that they're doing like little backgrounds, like Ned B has the galaxy behind him, or if you saw which we'll talk about later, the Halloween figures. Those have a special background behind them.
Mural stays.
Now, the one thing that I think we've already seen, and I hope they decide to change it, but some of the boxes do look like they're going to use the CG renders on the front.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that they should use a real figure for the front shot. I don't know.
I would agree with that.
Action, how are you feeling about the plastic-free packaging? What do you think about the design? And just thoughts in general.
Well, I'm a designer myself, so for me, I kind of, if we are getting these types of boxes, I like that, they put in some effort into it. So what you said about this front cover of the box, it really looks good to me. I don't know. If we are not talking about, the problem where you don't see the figure that's inside, if we are talking just about the box, it looks great to me. It looks like a great collectible. And as Justin said, the mural is still there, so
Mhm.
that won't be the issue for those who want to collect it all and arrange it.
Yeah, and we'll talk about like Swappers Heaven and all these other talking
Yeah.
points. Like we'll talk about that, but just like purely, we knew this was coming. If we absolutely have to go this route, I think it looks good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am going to open this box and take the figure out anyway, so it's like
Yeah, same. Same.
Right.
I just don't care personally. Openers here,
Yeah.
so
And
all three of
I
us.
really am for, less plastic in this world.
Yeah.
Less plastic damage.
yeah,
know?
like
Yeah,
single-use
and-
plastic will be the eventual death of us all. Like single-use, like water
Yeah.
bottles and stuff like that.
Yeah, because, we can get to the point where it won't matter if you open it or you don't, because you won't be here, you won't be able to do it, So, ultimately.
Yeah.
Definitely. And before someone even says it in chat, yes, the figures are made of plastic, but the figures don't end up in the garbage. The
Yeah,
packaging
we don't throw
does.
them. Yeah.
I mean, eventually, like generations.
Right,
like,
right.
Sure.
They will definitely at some point end up in the trash, but for the most part, most people keep the figure and throw away the box. So that's
Yeah.
why the whole, well, they're making figures out of plastic, that argument really doesn't hold any water, because no
Yeah.
one's throwing
This is the waste.
especially
this isn't the waste.
in
This is the waste.
in modern times where speculation, collectible speculative markets are like an all-time high thing, where people are not throwing anything away, because we're in an era right now where you see things from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, getting these insane values and selling for, high prices 30 years later. So people hold on to their collectibles these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a lot of people are getting rid of them purely based on what if
Yeah.
in X amount of time this is worth X amount of dollars.
Exactly. And what Mike just said, that he can't remember the last time that he picked a figure in a store.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that'll be coming in when we talk about like swapping and everything. To just purely packaging, I think it looks good. I do agree that I hope they use like real shots
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for the figure, because they can hire someone to do some great posing, and they actually have.
Yeah.
I forget their name, but a modern Black Series, they do have a pretty great photographer
Yeah.
right now. I forget their name. I know we
Yeah.
follow them on Twitter, but
That
It's
just
just-
got better.
It's
Yeah.
whoever is in control of the saturation. The
Mhm.
editing of the photos needs to be stopped.
yes.
But yeah, so for openers, I think this pretty much changes nothing. But obviously, for inbox collectors, this is a pretty big, pretty big stab in the back.
Trees can be replanted, though, Seth.
Yeah, that is true. They do take a long time to grow, but
Trees are renewable, though. Plastic, it involves like oil and all this other stuff, and we
Yeah.
all know like the price of oil and stuff. Like,
yeah,
I would still think trees is more renewable than
right.
oil. But let's talk about. So now let's talk about the reason why people are worried, because like swapping and then not being able to check quality, like paint apps, paint quality.
Yeah.
So do you guys think those are valid concerns, and just what do you say to that altogether?
I would say I would say yeah, those are the real issues for people who go to a store and look at which figure will they get. I don't know, Nate, what do you say?
No, I agree. I think those are valid issues. I know that we always pose the argument of, well, how often are you truly buying a figure in stores these days? But at the same time, we did just buy a Saw Gerrera on Saturday in stores, and that's a brand new figure. So it's not entirely uncommon to still find figures in stores, and I get that. But honestly, I think for the most part, Hasbro's QC has improved quite a bit in terms of paint apps. Now there's still the outliers. I'm not saying it's completely gone, but compare their the varying quality of paint apps from like a few years ago to now, and it's a lot tighter. It's a lot better. So I feel like the risk of getting a bad QC figure is a lot lower than it used to be. Although, of course, there's always going to be that chance. But you see that chance anyway if you're ordering online. You know, you don't get to see the exact figure that you're getting. So really, this might just kill, in-store collecting, which was kind of already on its way out to begin with.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a bummer because who doesn't like going out, going on the hunt, seeing what's around town?
Yeah.
I love doing it, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I feel like it's definitely an issue, but how big of an issue will it really be is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can always open the box,
See,
open
I
the box
don't
and
like
see.
that though, because then
I know.
so here's my problem, which also thank you, Mike, for the channel support.
Yes.
And
And for the
take all of our
subscription.
points.
Thank you.
Take all of our points. So to answer the whole swapping and paint app thing, so it is true, like most of the stuff I get online. However, this past year or two, I actually have had a lot more luck. Like that definitely works against my point.
Yeah.
Is I have had a lot of luck finding stuff in store. I just have.
Yeah.
The mainline waves, I just found Saw. I find a lot of stuff in store these days, but the overwhelming majority still comes from online.
Yeah.
Where it's a gamble. Thank you, Steven, for the channel support, my friend. And I was individually checking every Saw for the paint apps. However, you would have been happy with any of them. They all relatively look the same. So at least it was like super consistent.
Yeah.
When you're ordering stuff online, you don't get to see the figure anyway.
You can't
a roll of the
compare.
dice.
Right.
But I do agree they really, really need to nail down their QC stuff if they're going... Well, they are.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they need to really nail it down, 99.999%, because you'll always have a mishap or two.
Yep, definitely. And Fig brings up a great point. My SHF Luke had black paint in his neck. Can't buy SH figure arts at major retailers, so QC issues like this, you just have to roll the dice. Yeah, and that's a great point, and that goes for all online ordering. And just like Fig said, there are plenty of action figure lines that you have a 0% chance of buying in store because they are not available at big box retailers. So I get why everyone is concerned, but I do think that Hasbro's QC is continuing to improve all the time.
The swapping thing, that's also another thing I think is a little over exaggerated. We have run into swapped figures in store. Like, it happens regardless, but I understand, like, since it's plastic free, it's going to encourage it. Sure, but I just don't think it's going to be the swappers' heaven. Like, people are acting like it's going to be a mystery box where every single figure is going to have something different in it. I refuse to believe that. I still don't think it'll be... It might be a little bit more common, but I don't think it's going to be like every single box is a mystery box.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, the main thing you're probably going to have to check now if you do find these figures in stores is just make sure the box is still sealed. Check the tape.
But people, and I've seen it in chat, that they're just going to break the seal and open it before they buy it. So that kind of leads into something like, I totally understand that, but I also don't like that because when you open it and it's the correct thing, and then you decide to leave it there, and then I come by and the paint or the tape is broken, I'm probably not going to buy that. Even I'm like, someone opened it. You know what I mean? So even if it is the right thing, I'm like, so I'm thinking Big Bad Toy Store, Dorkside, Entertainment Earth, you guys better buckle up.
Online it is. Yeah.
Big Bad, you better buckle up. You better hire some more people, because I truly feel like you're going to get an influx of new buyers.
And I agree with Fig's point here. He says, I personally just love to be able to see a figure in the box. It's always been that way since I've collected for action figures, so I'm not a fan of the Switch and won't advocate it, but it is what it is. And you know, that's a great point. From pretty much the beginning of time, we've known action figures as something that you can see in the store. You get to look at it. You get to kind of absorb most of the details and the paint applications of the figure in store.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think this is just something that we're probably going to look back on and be like, oh, yeah, it really wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Or if this does actually end up, you know, causing some problems, like maybe Hasbro does go back to using a window box again. Because I think Rena also brings up a great point, is that, you know, it could be a risk that they're going this route while other companies are still choosing to leave their windows intact for their figures. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see how it's gonna affect, you know, the common person that doesn't exactly know what's going on. They're not in the know on the different
But,
packaging.
Didn't they say in their letter that for the vintage collection they will be using some kind of a recycled types?
Yeah,
of
it's called
plastic?
it's called PET plastic.
Yeah. It's
So-
like recycled plant.
So
I have no idea.
Maybe down the line, if this doesn't go well, they can use the same type of plastic for the Black Series. Maybe
Right.
it
That's
can
what
happen.
I was. And I saw someone mention that earlier in the chat as well. That why don't they just use the PET plastic for the Black Series? And we don't know. There's just a lot of stuff out there that unfortunately we don't know. We don't have the answers to. We don't know why they won't use the PET plastic on Black Series. Maybe it's expensive. Maybe that's why we're seeing rising costs in TVC figures. You know, most of them are almost hitting the $20 mark. These days.
Yeah.
So
I think like the final thing that I would personally say about this is like we all have our opinions on what we prefer, right? Like absolutely you're entitled to that. But and I've seen the comments on like Facebook and I've seen the comments on Instagram. It's not worth like having a brain aneurysm over, like
for sure.
You, as a collector, and I'm speaking to you right now, make your choice, okay? As the Green Goblin says, we are who we choose to be, so choose. It just make your decision. At the end of the day, it comes down to, is a plastic window going to stop you from collecting these figures and continuing your hobby? If the answer is yes, it will stop you, then I sincerely hope you find a hobby that you do find enjoyment in, because at the end of the day, this is a hobby and it needs to bring you joy. If it doesn't, like, if you just keep coming back and consuming the content and you're just getting pissed off every single day and you're having these like outrage comments, it's not healthy. And I encourage you to find a hobby that does bring you joy. If the answer to this plastic window is going to stop me from collecting these figures, I sincerely, truly do hope you find something that does bring you joy. You know, maybe Bandai model kits. Oh, wait, they don't have a plastic window either. But you know what I mean.
Right.
You know what I mean.
Well, those figures aren't even assembled, and they lie to you on the packaging for Bandai model kits because they show professionally painted examples of their kits. Like this is what it'll look like if you're great at painting.
Lies, deceptions.
Lies.
But that's just what it comes down to. It's just not worth raging over. And for me, a plastic window is not going to stop me from collecting my favorite action figure line. I'm going to open that box, take the figure out, and enjoy them. So just make your decision.
Now, here's a